Alright, we're back again with Truckstang 3. In the last video we got the interior together as far as the dash, carpet, center console, and the seats, which actually took a little bit of effort to get right because, well, with the Ranger floor, we had to reposition the seats so we could actually sit in the thing comfortably. But that's all done. The next move is going to be installing our power plant. Now, keeping in the theme with this thing being based on a Ranger, our power plant's going to be a 2.3 4-cylinder with a 5-speed manual that would normally have come in a Ranger. Now, most people are probably going to be like, oh god, you're using a 4-cylinder, why not a V8? Well, this 4-cylinder engine here is an OMC 4-cylinder from a boat, and this has a D-port cylinder head, which is the same as the turbo 4-cylinder engines from the early 80s. So that would obviously mean in this car's future we're probably going to play around with some turbo or supercharger crap on this thing. So main thing is 4-cylinder, carbureted, manual, distributor, all that good stuff. No electronics on this thing. Well, save for the distributor, of course, but that's simple. Main thing is we got to get this pile into this car here onto our Ranger chassis. We already have motor mounts in place, brand new motor mounts ready to rock and roll. Transmission mounts still good on the transmission, so we don't have to worry about that. Also had to take our shifter off because I'm going to have to be able to clear the transmission hump as we insert the whole unit into place. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing into the car. Stand by. We have our engine and transmission in place. Took a little bit of finessing on the side of the transmission because our transmission cross member needed to be straightened out due to the past accident damage that was sustained by the original Ranger truck. But that wasn't nothing that a sledgehammer couldn't take care of. So we have our transmission in place, locked down, secured with the transmission mount, and along with that, our motor mounts are also bolted down, so power plant is down. Now, I also had to remove the OMC fuel pump because the way the fuel lines went into the thing, they actually interfered with the lowering of the engine down around the power steering gearbox. So what this is going to mean is one of two things. Hopefully a mechanical fuel pump for an older Gen 2.3 like from a Pinto or a early 80s Fox body Mustang will fit in here. Otherwise I'm just gonna have to put a block off plate on there and go with an electric fuel pump because I can't use this. And at the same time, because I can't use this, I'm also gonna have to remove that OMC fuel filter assembly right there because, well, that's just extra bulk for all intents and purposes. I mean, I could use that, but trying to source that fuel filter versus a regular automotive fuel filter, nah, I got time for that. But the next thing that I want to do is put our exhaust header on. This is the exhaust header from the original 2.3 EFI 4-cylinder that was in the Ranger, and obviously this is all I have because the OMC exhaust was some weird bulky exhaust manifold that would never be able to be used in a car. But this is good even compared to maybe a stock 2.3 exhaust from an earlier vehicle because, well, it's an exhaust header. But I got to bolt this thing down, get it secured, And then I'm also going to have to lop off the catalytic converter underneath there because, well, we don't need a catalytic converter on this. We just need to add the straight pipe from the header over to the rest of the exhaust system. All right, we have our exhaust system put back together, sans catalytic converter. We didn't really have to do much else to this system because it was pretty much complete from front to back anyway. The exhaust manifold is the stock stuff. The rest of the pipe with the muffler going to the back is all original stuff. Now, as for this 90-degree bend, I'm probably going to lop that off, and I might just put a little straight pipe outer or something. But maybe in the future I might try to do some kind of wastelandy type exhaust system once everything else has been complete on the car and it's running. But for right now, we have an exhaust system ready to rock and roll. So with that, we can move on to some other little related parts of our powertrain build. I'm going to get the drive shaft in, and I'm going to go ahead and slap the radiator in as well. All right, got our radiator secured, and I've managed to find a hose that was somewhat close enough to allow me to couple the top port of the radiator to the top port of the engine. As for the bottom, I took the hose from the Ranger's old engine, which would have went to a port on the bottom right, but because we don't have a radiator that's like that, I'm going to have to do what I've been doing on these oddball radiator installs, where I take two hoses and then couple it together with a length of large pipe. So I'll do that later off camera, because that's pretty much the same thing. Put a hunk of pipe in there, clamp it, all that crap. But along with that, we have our drive shaft in, bolted down, ready to rock and roll. So we're good on that part of the drive line just as well. So with that, the last thing that I'm going to do to conclude this portion of our project is get our hood hinges put back on, so we could at least be able to open and close the hood like normal on this car, instead of using a board to hold a loose fitting hood up. Since we're not going to be pulling the engine out or anything anytime soon anyway, there's no need to have to remove this hood, so we can get this thing secured. So I'm going to go ahead and get that knocked out real quick. This would be an appropriate ending to our powertrain installation video by getting our hood on and latched down to close everything up. But we have our hood on and aligned about as good as it's going to be. Even on the original car, this hood was never perfectly aligned because of the distortions in the fenders and the side panels and just the overall rattiness of the car as a whole. But I mean, it's on there pretty good. But we have our power plant in, engine, transmission, drive shaft, exhaust, radiator, some of the hoses. Pretty much, I would call that a win. A few little odds and ends that still need to be addressed as far as the engine, but those are little bitty off-camera things that I'll take care of as we progress through the project. But again, we'll be leaving it off here. So as usual, hit the like button. Likes are free. Subscribe if you hadn't already. Click the notification so you could keep in the loop as far as future videos on this car and other projects we work on. Check out the TikTok, Facebook, website, all that good stuff. Share the video if you want. We'll definitely appreciate that. And until the next time, I'm going to catch you later. I'm going to get inside. It's freezing out here. I'm out.